My husband's secret affair destroyed everything, but my revenge was perfect. Looking back, it's almost painful how perfect everything appeared on the surface. Mark and I had one of those love stories people romanticized. We met during our senior year at Boston University. He was the confident architecture major with a laugh that filled rooms, and I was the quiet literature student working part-time at the campus library. Our first date was simple. Coffee that turned into a 4-hour walk along the Charles River, talking about dreams, family, the future we both wanted so badly. He proposed 2 years later on that same riverbank, under a sky painted with fireworks on the 4th of July. I said yes without hesitation. 15 years of marriage followed like chapters in a fairy tale. We bought our dream home, a beautiful colonial on Maple Lane, with blue shutters, a white picket fence, and a backyard big enough for the kids to run wild. The porch swing became our sanctuary, summer nights with iced tea, watching fireflies dance while the children played. Emma was born first, our fierce little girl with my dark curls and Mark's bright blue eyes. She came into the world screaming, determined from day one. 2 years later, Jacob arrived, quieter, sweeter, with a smile that could melt anyone's heart. Mark was there for both births, holding my hand, tears in his eyes, whispering, "We're a family now, forever." Mark built his construction firm from the ground up. What started as small renovations turned into luxury custom homes for the city's elite. He worked hard, long days, networking dinners, but he always made time for us. He'd burst through the door at 6, scoop the kids into the air, and kiss me like we'd been apart for years. Anniversaries were sacred. 1 year a weekend in Paris, another a private yacht dinner on the harbor. "You're my everything, Sarah," he'd say. And I believed him with every fiber of my being. His parents, Richard and Evelyn, were the cherry on top. Richard, the retired Superior Court judge, carried himself with quiet authority. Tall, silver-haired, always impeccably dressed. He mentored Mark relentlessly, teaching him about integrity, hard work, legacy. Evelyn was warmth personified. Pearl necklaces, homemade apple pies, endless hugs for the grandkids. Sunday dinners at their sprawling estate were non-negotiable. Crystal glasses, linen napkins, stories of Mark's childhood that painted him as the perfect son. "You've given him stability, Sarah," Evelyn would say, patting my hand. "You're the daughter we always wanted." Our social circle reflected that perfection. Barbecues with neighbors, school fundraisers where Mark and I were the power couple everyone admired. Friends envied our date nights, our family vacations to Cape Cod, the way we still held hands in public. Intimacy was passionate, frequent. Mark made me feel desired, cherished. We talked about growing old together, grandkids on that same porch swing. Yet even in paradise, shadows creep in slowly. Mark's late nights began creeping earlier into occasional than frequent. A big project here, a client dinner there. His phone, once left casually on the counter, now stayed glued to his side, face down, silenced during the family time. When it buzzed, he'd glance and smile privately, something that made my stomach twist, though I pushed it down. He'd been snappier, too, irritated if dinner wasn't ready, distant during conversations. Our bedroom life cooled, excuses of exhaustion replacing the fire we'd once had. I rationalized it all. Midlife crisis, perhaps, the pressure of providing. Every marriage has rough patches. I doubled down, planning surprise date nights, wearing lingerie he'd once loved, whispering affirmations. "We're okay," I'd tell myself in the mirror, ignoring the quiet voice asking why his eyes no longer lingered on me the way they used to. That unease settled like morning fog, subtle, persistent, but easy to wave away in the light of our perfect life. The shocking discovery. November turned bitter that year, gray skies and relentless rain mirroring the storm about to break inside me. It was a Tuesday I'll never forget. The kids had just left for school, Emma waving from the bus, Jacob blowing kisses. I was home early from my part-time library job, planning to surprise Mark with a clean house and his favorite lasagna. He'd rushed out that morning for a site meeting, kissing my cheek absently, leaving his laptop open on the kitchen island, a rare oversight for someone who guarded his devices like state secrets. I was wiping down the counter when a notification pinged. Miss you already. Can't stop thinking about last night. Tonight, usual spot. L. My heart stuttered. L? We didn't have close friends or family with that initial. Curiosity overrode caution. Hands trembling, I clicked into his email, password autofilled. Deleted items, trash, sent folders, everything was there, recoverable. The world narrowed to the screen. Hundreds of messages, months of them to Lauren, his new executive assistant, hired 6 months earlier. 28, ambitious, beautiful in that effortless way. Their words were intimate, raw. You're the excitement I've been missing. I dream of a life with you. Photos, them in hotel rooms, her laughing in his arms, lingerie selfies captioned with his adoration. Videos, too, heavy breathing, whispered, I love yous that sliced through me like glass. He'd written about leaving, once the kids are older, I'll tell Sarah, we deserve happiness. Discussions of finances, how to minimize what I'd get. And buried deeper, in older threads Lauren had referenced, hints from Evelyn about Richard's youthful mistakes. A scanned document attached once, paternity results from 30 years ago. Mark wasn't Richard's biological son, his real father, a wealthy business rival who'd paid generously to keep the scandal quiet, preserving Richard's career and the family name. Mark didn't know. Lauren did. She used it like ammunition. Imagine the freedom once you embrace the truth. We can build our own legacy. I sat there for hours, rain hammering the windows in rhythm with my breaking heart. Nausea rose and fell. Tears blurred the screen. How long? How many lies? The man who'd vowed forever had been plotting escape, erasing me, our children, our history. The betrayal wasn't just infidelity, it was annihilation of everything I thought we were. Heartbreak and denial. Heartbreak doesn't arrive dramatically. It seeps in, slow and poisonous until you're drowning in it. That first night, I lay rigid beside Mark as he slept soundly, his breathing steady while mine came in shallow gasps. Every inch of space between us felt vast, insurmountable. His arm draped over me in sleep felt like a mockery. How many nights had he held her the same way? The pain was visceral, a crushing weight on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Betrayal carved out pieces of me. Trust, security, self-worth. I felt utterly foolish. How had I missed the signs? Was I so wrapped up in motherhood, in maintaining our perfect facade, that I'd become blind? Questions tormented me. Was I no longer attractive? Too predictable after years of routine? Had the spark died only for me, while he sought fire elsewhere? I cried in silence, endless tears soaking pillows, muffled sobs in the shower where hot water hid my breakdown. Curled on the cold tile floor one dawn, arms wrapped around myself, I rocked like a child, whispering, why wasn't I enough? Memories replayed, tainted. Every kiss now suspect. Every I love you a potential lie. The man I built my world around had been living a double life, planning to discard me like an old chapter. Denial was my only refuge. It couldn't be real. A mistake? A phase he'd outgrow. I threw myself into fixing us. Seductive lingerie nights, ignored. Elaborate dinners, eaten distractedly. Compliments to rebuild his ego. He'd respond politely, mechanically, eyes drifting to his phone. Intimacy, when it happened, left me emptier. His touch clinical, mind elsewhere. The kids noticed my fragility. Emma's worried glances. Mom, are you sick? Jacob's extra hugs, clinging longer. I'd force smiles. Just tired, sweetie. While inside I shattered. Protecting them became my anchor. How could I let this destroy their world too? Nights were endless torment, staring at the ceiling, replaying discoveries, imagining them together. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of abandonment. The betrayal stripped me bare, leaving me raw, questioning my judgment, my value. I felt small, invisible, erased. Yet amid the devastation, something shifted. Grief gave way to flickers of rage. He didn't get to rewrite our story alone, not without consequences. Gathering evidence secretly. Pain transformed into purpose. If our marriage was ending, it would be on my terms, with protection for me and the children. Blind reaction wasn't an option. I needed proof that couldn't be denied or twisted. I became a shadow operative in my own home. When Mark showered, I'd install apps, keyloggers on his laptop, recovery tools for deleted messages. Cloud backups revealed everything: timelines, locations, explicit exchanges. I'd force myself to read through tears, stealing my resolve. Hiring a private investigator felt surreal, paying in cash from my secret emergency fund, money saved for family trips, ironically. He was professional, discreet. Photos of motel rendezvous, dinners disguised as work, weekends away. Bank statements showed patterns, gifts, hotels charged to the company as client entertainment. Uncovering the family secret required finesse. I visited Evelyn under the guise of planning a surprise genealogy gift for Mark's birthday. Over tea and cookies, I steered conversation to old stories. When she stepped out to check the oven, I accidentally bumped a vase near Richard's study, creating distraction to slip in and photograph drawer contents she'd left unlocked. There it was, faded letters, payment records, the DNA report, Richard's long-ago affair, Mark's true origins. Evelyn had chosen silence to protect the family image. Each piece armored hid my heartbreak, but built armor. The deception wasn't isolated, it was generational. Lauren knew, using it to manipulate Mark further from us. I documented meticulously, folders encrypted, backups in safe places, consulted my attorney quietly. Learning fault-based laws favored me with solid adultery proof. The betrayal fueled me now. I wasn't just a scorned wife, I was a woman reclaiming control, planning the ultimate revenge. Revenge wasn't born from pettiness. It grew from profound injustice, from nights where tears turned to icy resolve. Mark had planned to leave quietly, minimizing damage to himself. I would ensure the truth saw daylight, fully, devastatingly. My attorney outlined paths. Adultery evidence meant strong claims. House, custody, alimony, business share, plus fraud penalties for misused funds. The paternity secret was devastating leverage, upending Mark's identity, Richard's legacy, Evelyn's carefully curated world. Timing became key. Mark's 50th birthday approaching. Evelyn insisted on a grand party at the estate, inviting business elite, family, friends. The perfect stage. I played the loving wife masterfully, helping plan menus, decorations, suggesting a heartfelt family slideshow as my gift. Mark loved it, oblivious. You're the best, babe. Behind scenes, I compiled the presentation meticulously. Innocent memories transitioning to damning evidence. Texts over wedding photos, hotel receipts beside vacations, climaxing with paternity bombshell. Anonymous packets prepared. To Lauren's fiancé, detailing her infidelity too. Key clients hinting at financial irregularities, IRS tips on deductions. It would be public humiliation, financial ruin, family fracture, all legal, non-violent, irreversible. As the day neared, doubt flickered. Could I do this? But remembering his lies, the erasure of our life, hardened me. This wasn't cruelty, it was justice long overdue. The betrayed woman was transforming, rising stronger from ashes he'd created. The confrontation. The night of the party arrived like a storm I'd been waiting to unleash. Evelyn and Richard's estate was transformed into a fairy tale. Hundreds of fairy lights strung through ancient oaks, long tables draped in white linen, a string quartet playing softly in the corner. The air smelled of fresh flowers and grilled filet mignon. 50 guests milled about, Mark's business partners, old college friends, cousins from out of state, even some of the judges Richard had mentored. Everyone dressed to impress, toasting the man they believed was turning 50 with grace and success. Mark looked every bit the part, sharp tuxedo, that charming smile that had won me over all those years ago. He kept his arm around my waist possessively for photos, whispering in my ear, "You look stunning tonight, babe. Best wife a guy could ask for." His words twisted like a knife, but I smiled back, radiant in my emerald gown, the one I'd chosen because it made me feel powerful. Inside, my heart raced, not with nerves, but with a cold, steady anticipation. Dinner passed in a blur of small talk and laughter. I played my role perfectly, laughing at jokes, refilling wine glasses, complimenting Evelyn on the decorations. She beamed at me, squeezing my hand. "Sarah, dear, you're the glue holding this family together." If only she knew how prophetic that would soon become. As dessert was served, chocolate souffle with fresh berries, the lights dimmed subtly. Evelyn clapped her hands excitedly. "Everyone, before the cake, Sarah has prepared a special surprise tribute to Mark, a walk down memory lane." The crowd murmured approval, gathering around the large projector screen set up on the patio. Mark grinned, pulling me close for a side hug. "You sneaky thing," he murmured, kissing my temple. I forced a smile, my pulse thundering in my ears. The slideshow began innocently enough. Soft music swelled, our wedding song. Photos faded in, our college graduation, the day we brought Emma home from the hospital, Jacob's first steps, family vacations to the Cape. Awes and applause rippled through the guests. Evelyn dabbed her eyes. Richard nodded approvingly. Then seamlessly, the tone shifted. A wedding photo lingered but overlaid in elegant white text. "I can't wait to leave her and start our life." Gasps, confusion. Mark stiffened beside me. The next slide, a screenshot of his email to Lauren. "You're my soulmate. She'll never understand me like you do." Whispers turned to outright murmurs. Someone dropped a glass. More slides cascaded. Hotel key cards scanned beside family Christmas photos. Explicit text exchanges superimposed on anniversary dinners. A photo of Lauren in lingerie, captioned with his words, "This is what real passion looks like." Mark's face drained of color. He bolted from his seat. "Sarah, what the hell is this? Turn it off. Now." But the projector continued, unstoppable. I'd paid the AV team extra to lock the controls. Chaos erupted. Women clutched pearls. Men shifted uncomfortably. Phones came out, recording discreetly. The climax built slowly, deliberately. Family portraits with Richard and Evelyn gave way to scanned letters. The paternity test results. Bold text. "Mark, you are not Richard's biological son. Your real father paid to keep it hidden." Richard stood slowly, face ashen, eyes locked on the screen in horror. Evelyn let out a keening wail, collapsing into a chair as decades of buried truth exploded into the open. Mark lunged toward the projector, screaming profanities, but the two security guards I'd hired under the guise of event safety intercepted him smoothly, holding him back with firm grips. "Let go of me," he roared, struggling wildly. "Sarah, how could you?" The room fell into stunned silence, then fractured. Guests backing away, some fleeing toward the exits. Lauren, who'd been invited as Mark's assistant, turned ghostly pale across the patio, her fiancé at her side, staring in disbelief as my pre-sent anonymous packet's contents were confirmed on screen. I rose calmly from my seat, the only steady figure amid the storm. My voice cut through the noise, clear and unwavering. "Mark, you destroyed our family with your lies and betrayal. You planned to abandon us for her. You questioned our son's paternity, and your family, built on generations of deception. Tonight, the truth is finally free. Everyone here knows exactly who you are." Mark's eyes met mine, wild, desperate, filled with a hatred I'd never seen. "You'll regret this," he hissed, as security escorted him inside. Evelyn sobbed uncontrollably, reaching for Richard, who stood frozen. The proud judge reduced to a broken man. The party dissolved into pandemonium. Guests whispering, leaving in droves, the perfect evening shattered beyond repair. As the screen faded to black, I stood there, adrenaline surging, feeling not regret, but a profound release. The confrontation wasn't just exposure, it was liberation. Executing the payback. The days and weeks following the party were a whirlwind of calculated consequences, each one landing with devastating precision. Divorce papers were served the very next morning by a process server at Mark's office, timed for maximum embarrassment in front of his remaining staff. My attorney had filed everything: adultery, financial misconduct, emotional cruelty. The evidence dossier was airtight. Hundreds of pages of emails, photos, bank records. The judge fast-tracked it in our fault-based state. I walked away with primary custody of the kids, the house fully paid off, generous child support, and alimony that would last until Jacob graduated college, and 50% of the business, plus penalties for the embezzled expenses he'd funneled to Lauren. The business itself crumbled rapidly. Word spread like wildfire through the tight-knit construction community. Clients who'd been at the party, or heard secondhand, canceled contracts left and right. "We can't associate with that kind of scandal," they said. Mark tried damage control, blaming me for fabricating lies, but the proof was irrefutable. He was forced to sell at a fraction of its value to cover mounting debts. The man who'd prided himself on building empires watched his own collapse. Lauren's downfall was equally swift. Her fiancé, devastated by the anonymous packet I'd sent days before, complete with timestamps proving she cheated on him too, ended their engagement publicly. She lost her job, Mark's partners demanded it, and her reputation in the industry tanked. Social media whispers turned to outright shaming. She moved away, starting over in obscurity. But the family fallout cut deepest. Richard, the unyielding patriarch, disowned Mark in a formal letter. "You were never truly my son, and now you have shamed the name I gave you." He cut him out of the will entirely, redirecting everything to charities. Evelyn spiraled, hospitalized briefly for a breakdown, then retreating into isolation, therapy sessions, and regret. She called me once, voice trembling. "Sarah, I should have told him years ago. I'm so sorry for the pain my silence caused you." I forgave her in a way. She'd been a victim of the lies, too. But the family as we knew it was fractured forever. The IRS audit I triggered anonymously buried Mark further. Years of shady deductions came to light. Fines, back taxes, penalties that wiped out his savings. He downsized to a cramped one-bedroom apartment, driving a used car, scraping by on whatever freelance work he could find. He tried reaching out repeatedly, voicemails alternating between rage and desperation. "How could you destroy me like this? The kids need their father." I'd listened to one or two, tears falling not for him but for what we'd lost, then blocked the number. The kids saw him supervised at first, but his bitterness made visits strained. Eventually they chose distance. Financially, socially, emotionally, he lost everything he'd taken for granted. And through it all, I watched from afar, not with glee, but with a quiet satisfaction that justice had been served. Life after revenge. 3 years have passed since that explosive night, and looking back, I can say with certainty that revenge didn't consume me. It freed me. The immediate aftermath was hard. The kids struggled. Emma with anger, Jacob with confusion. We dove into family therapy, open conversations at the dinner table, and I shielded them as best I could while being honest in age-appropriate ways. Today, they're thriving. Emma's channeling her emotions into art and advocacy, already talking about studying psychology to help others through betrayal. Jacob's soccer team won regionals last year, and he credits his strong mom in interviews. Our home is filled with laughter again, genuine, unforced. Professionally, I turn my pain into purpose. Using the bookkeeping skills I'd honed managing our finances, I launched Second Sight Consulting, a service helping women detect financial infidelity and protect assets before or during divorce. It's grown steadily. I speak at women's groups, sharing parts of my story anonymously. The empowerment I feel helping others avoid my blindness is profound. Dating entered my life tentatively after a year of healing, therapy, yoga, reconnecting with old friends. I met David through a mutual acquaintance. He's kind, transparent, divorced himself with shared custody. We take it slow, building on trust earned daily. For the first time in years, intimacy feels safe, exciting. Mark, he fades further into irrelevance. Last I heard, through mutual contacts, he's still struggling. Odd jobs, no close relationships. The weight of his choice is a constant burden. The family secret's exposure ended any illusions. Even extended relatives distanced themselves. Some nights, the scar of betrayal aches, a reminder of vulnerability. But revenge granted me closure, justice, and unbreakable strength. It wasn't about destruction. It was about reclaiming my narrative. I've learned that betrayal can shatter you completely, but from those fragments, you can forge something even stronger. Trust is sacred, earned through actions, not words. And strength? It's reborn in the fire of adversity, emerging resilient and radiant. Never again will I diminish myself for someone unworthy. True power lies in rising whole, protecting your peace, and choosing a life built on authenticity. To every woman who's felt invisible or discarded, you are enough. Your story doesn't end with their betrayal, it begins with your triumph.